Hello everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome to my channel. Tonight I'm going to preview a small variant that I've created for Spring and Summer, the History of China board game. I'll show you how the variant works and then I'll play through a solo game versus 4 AI opponents. If you want to learn how to play the base game, I'll leave a link in the description to a video I created earlier, where I take a deep dive into the components and rules and play through a turn showing how the game plays against the AI. Now I'm contemplating whether I should get the models for this game or not. I don't really feel like painting over 300 models, but I don't think that the painting would be too bad. What I'm guessing is a simple gray primer, and then I would paint the buildings in the color schemes that we see on the tokens. Green for shrines, yellow for markets, blue for academy, red for barracks. Fortifications would be in gray. And then it would be simply painting the infantry, cavalry, archers, and heroes in the player colors. So I'm seriously thinking about whether I should get those or not. The problem is the cost is a little high, but the main problem is I won't be utilizing any of the building models with solo play other than for the faction I'm controlling. We will be using the military units though, so I'm definitely thinking about ordering those models. It would certainly bring the immersion level in the game up another notch. So let's begin by examining the variant that I've created. I will be posting the files for this variant on the BGG page for Spring and Summer in the Files section. This variant is called the Exploration Token variant. During setup, we're going to randomize the 35 exploration tokens that I've created, and we're going to place one in every area that is not a home area or an area that starts with kingdom tokens. This will total 26 areas. The remaining 9 tokens will be returned to the box sight unseen. This variant is designed to work for both solitaire and multiplayer games. The exploration tokens will remain hidden until a player or an AI player moves ground forces into the area containing the token. The player then secretly examines the reverse side of the token and consults the exploration token sheet to see what the discovery entails. The token will be of 2 varieties. Either play immediately or keep for later. If it is a play immediately token, the token is revealed and the benefit or detriment is resolved. If it is a keep for later token, we'll place the token inverted on our player board and we can use it when the situation allows. So let's take a look at the tokens. First token is the 7-star sword that includes 1 token out of the 35. This blade is said to be forged from the stars of the Big Dipper. This sword is believed to grant extraordinary combat abilities. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. The faction that possesses the 7-star sword may re-roll the yellow hero die during melee combat. If the result of the second die roll is a blank or a minus sign, the sword is removed from the game. Next we have Yi's bow and arrows, 1 token. This bow is said to have been gifted to the hero Huo Yi by the celestial emperor Dijun. With this divine weapon, Hu Yi was said to have famously shot down 9 of the 10 suns scorching the earth. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. The faction that possesses Yi's bow and arrows may re-roll a purple archery die roll during the archery fire step of the land combat. If the result of the second roll is a number, set aside the die for use during melee combat, but remove Yi's bow from the game. If the result of the second roll is an arrow, keep Yi's bow and arrows for future rolls. Next we have bandits, and there are 3 of those in the counter mix. This land is home to a group of bandits led by a skilled leader. The land is occupied by bandits, considered to be an infantry and a hero. Fight 1 round of combat against the bandits. If in a valley, the bandits roll 1 green and 1 yellow die. If in the mountains, the bandits roll 1 yellow die and 2 green dice, as they are attacking from concealed positions. Regardless of the results, the battle only lasts 1 round, and dishonor tokens are never gained when fighting bandits. Then we have Ancient Scroll. There are 2 of those tokens. You find an old shrine that contains an ancient scroll of great wisdom. Immediately gain 1 knowledge token. Then we have a gold Buddha. 1 token in the counter mix. You find a small shrine that houses a golden Buddha. Immediately gain 2 commerce tokens, melting the Buddha for its gold, or 1 honor token, placing the sacred statue in your palace. Player may choose. Then we have 1 token in the mix called the Dragon Blade. This iconic weapon is associated with Guyan Yu, a legendary general from the Romance of the 3 Kingdoms. It symbolizes martial prowess and is very effective when dueling a dragon. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. A hero in a duel that possesses the Dragon Blade may re-roll the yellow hero die. If the result of the second roll is a blank or a minus sign, remove the Dragon Blade from the game. Next token is Cursed Lands. There's 1 in the counter mix. The land is marked by destruction and desolation. This land has been cursed by a powerful evil. Immediately discard 1 honor token or draw a dishonor token from the bag, player's choice. Then we have 2 Wise Traveler tokens. You meet a wise traveler who tells you of nearby lands. Immediately peek at any barbarian, kingdom, or exploration token on the board without revealing it to the other players. Then replace the token in its original location. Then we have 1 token in the counter mix called Ji Shi. Her beauty was said to be so captivating that fish would forget how to swim and sink upon seeing her reflection. She was thought to be the most beautiful woman in China. She played a pivotal role during China's spring and autumn period. Keep the token face down on your player board. This token counts as a completed objective during endgame scoring. If your palace is ever conquered, give the Ji Shi token to the conquering player. Then we have the Lotus Lantern. There's 1 in the counter mix. A mystical lantern that could ward off darkness and evil. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Discard the Lotus Lantern to cancel the effects of any world card that is played against you. Now we have Zhao Jun's Mirror. There's 1 in the counter mix. This magical mirror was said to reveal the true nature of anyone who stood before it, protecting against deception and evil spirits. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Discard the token to cancel the effects of any world card played against you that forces you to draw a dishonor token or tokens. Then we have Hunyan San. There's 1 in the counter mix. A parasol of an ancient Chinese ruler that releases chaos upon the world. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Discard the token to immediately draw a world card from the discard pile and increase the chaos by the amount indicated on the card. If the chaos marker enters the fireball space, the revealed world event card occurs. Next we have Ancient Armor. There's 1 token in the counter mix. Said to have been worn by the celestial warriors, this armor was believed to be impenetrable and imbued with divine energy to shield its wearer from harm. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Play the token to re-roll a minus result on a yellow hero die roll during melee combat or during a duel against a dragon. If the second roll is a blank or a minus result, discard the ancient armor. Then we have bountiful lands. There's one token in the mix. This land is beautiful and rich in natural resources. If in a valley, immediately gain one supply action cube on your display from the bountiful food supplies. If in a mountain, immediately gain one commerce token from its bountiful gold and silver reserves. Next, we have the Jade Dragon. There is one in the counter mix. This jade sculpture highlights the artistic achievements and symbolic significance of dragons and craftsmanship in Chinese culture. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Discard the token at any time to gain 2 honor tokens. And finally, we have 16 tokens that are nothing. There is nothing notable in the land. Discard the token without effect. For this playthrough, I've randomly selected the purple Wu faction. I'll set up the game, including the new variant, and I'll walk the viewers through the starting cards and board positions, and then we'll get started with the playthrough. Alright, our game is set. We're going to be playing the Qin faction. We've got our junk and our starting infantry and 3 buildings, a shrine, market, and academy, and our palace. The AI players will be the Chu. AI players will start with 2 infantry, 1 junk, and their AI palace. Same will be for the Jin, the Qi, and the Wu. We've placed out our barbarian tokens and our kingdom tokens along with the exploration tokens that we highlighted earlier. Our player board is set. We have our starting philosophy that's going to be discipline, retreat before combat without taking dishonor. And that will cost us 1 honor token, or we would have to draw a dishonor token to activate that. We have our treaties, and we have our private objectives. Our private objectives include mercantile. We have to own 4 markets. Development, research all construction advancements. Prestige, win 2+ world event bids. Frontier, own 4+ areas on the edge of the map or coast. And finally, militarist, research all military advancements. So that's what we're going to need to become the next emperor of China. Our starting philosophies are ancestors see all. Look at any face-down minor kingdom or barbarian token. And that is a Shang philosophy. We have centralized state, receive 1 additional matching unit during a train action. It's part of legalism. Art of war, target player rolling 2+ dice discards a combat die of their choice this combat round. That's legalism. And then we have cosmic accord. Spend 3 commerce to discard 1 dishonor. That's Confucianism. Our starting public objective is argosy. Have more junks than every other player individually. I'm storing those cards on the left-hand side of the board, so I have some space here. I have some space issues on the other side of the board. We have the AI player boards, the Chu, Jin, Qi, and Wu. We've randomly determined that the Qi will be the starting faction and will be moving in a clockwise fashion. Wu, us, Chu, Jin, and then back to Qi. We've shuffled our AI deck and it's ready to go. And finally, the AI private objectives will be prestige, win 2+ world event bids. Variety, own philosophy cards from 3+ philosophy types. Builder, own at least 1 building of each type. Warmonger, own 4+ barracks. Elitist, have less total dishonor than every other player individually. Mercantile, own 4 markets. enlightenment, research all government advancements, and finally, militarist, research all military advancements. So the game is now set, and we're ready to begin with the chi player, the yellow. The yellow chi player begins along the coast of the Gulf of Chile. We begin turn 1 with round 1, and that is the production phase for the AI players. However, during the start of the game, their turn 1 benefits are already on the board. So we will not be revealing an AI card for production during this turn. So we move through the AI players, going to the blue Wu, and then next is the purple Chin, and that's us. So examining our first public objective, that is argosy. That is to have more junks than every other player individually. So we're going to have to work towards that, but also combine that with our personal objectives. Now, one of our interesting personal objectives is frontier. Own 4+ areas on the edge of the map or the coast. Now, it just so happens that we begin the game on the edge of the map. So we'd probably like to target these provinces, Shu, Bao, and Liang, to try to get the 4 provinces that we need to fulfill that frontier personal objective. So I think to begin, I'm going to do a build action. And that's going to allow us to build a structure of our choosing in the 4th settlement that we have available. 3 of our 4 settlements in the Chin province are already built. So seeing as we're going to be needing junks to complete the argosy public objective, I think we're going to start by building a barracks. And we'll place the barracks in our 4th settlement of that province, and then place the build cube on the barracks. That'll be our first action. Next, we'll move on to the Chu and Jin factions. They're also not able to take their production due to the first turn, so we'll return to the Chi faction and we'll determine if they're going to be taking a supply action. And they have a minus, so they will not be taking a supply action. We'll move on to the Wu faction. See if they're going to take one. And now we'll make the roll for the Wu faction. They've rolled a negative. They will not be taking their supply action. We'll move back to the Chin. For our next action, we're going to take an honor action. We'll utilize our temple. We'll place the action cube in the shrine, and we're going to gain an honor token. And we'll place that honor token on our player board. Next up is the Chu faction. We'll make the roll for their supply. And they've rolled a plus, so they're going to take a supply action. We'll remove their supply cube, and then we're going to draw an AI card and find out what their priorities are. The Way of Balance. Their top priority is going to be unclaimed objectives, areas listed as an objective on a revealed objective card and that the AI player does not already control. The first public objective is argosy, and that's to own more junks than every other player individually. So that unclaimed objectives will not work. We'll move down the list to grudge. There are no grudge players at the moment. We'll move down to most settlements and mines. Areas with the most settlements and mines, regardless of the presence of buildings. All right. Examining the adjacent provinces, we find out that there are 2 that would qualify. The Kui province and the Deng province. Both of them have a settlement and mine combination, where the other adjoining provinces have either 1 settlement or 1 mine. So we'll be moving into either the Deng or the Kui. So we'll make a roll And we'll determine odd for Deng province and even for Coolie. It is even. So our target is going to be the Kui province. The AI palace will serve as a garrison, and the junk will move into river position there, and the 2 infantry will enter the Kui province. And now the exploration token will be revealed. That is nothing. So that token will be removed, and that will end the activation for the Chu. All right, following Chu's activation and the invasion of Kui, we have to draw a world event. The card is Fuzang Long. So we're going to be moving the chaos marker 3 points. So the chaos marker is moved ahead 3. Next up is the Jin faction. They have a supply token, and we'll see if they'll be using it this round. The result is a plus, so they will be spending their supply. Remove the cube and draw an AI card. Cards revealed to be the Way of Silence. Now we have to determine the destination of the Jin supply action. First on the list is Grudge. Well, there are no Grudge nations yet designated. Next is the fewest friendly units. Well, there are no friendly units adjacent to Jin. Next is the most settlements and mines. All right, well, that is going to be the Zhao province. There's 3 of them there. I don't know if they would attack there, but that's what it would be. And then finally, unclaimed objectives. All right, so let's see if we can narrow that down. Well, none of the objective cards lists any type of provinces that need to be controlled. So at this point, it looks like the Zhao province is the target. It has 3 settlements. All the other ones have 1 or 2. It would be the only ones they can reach. I don't know if they would be attacking Zhao or not with 2 infantry. By the letter of the AI, that would be the target, but I think I'm going to overrule that, and we're going to go to the next priorities, and I think that would be either the Zhai or Dai provinces. Those have a mine and a settlement. I just don't think they would, with 3 kingdom tokens, I don't think 2 infantry are going to fare too well there. So I'm going to overrule that, and then we'll just determine whether it's going to be the, well, there's also the Wei province. That's another one that would have 2, so you'd actually have 3 possibilities. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to make a die roll, and we will see which one they choose. We'll make a d6 roll, and we'll have it broken down as 1 and 2 for Dai, 3 and 4 for Wei, and 5 and 6 for Zhai. Rolls of 5, so they're moving into the Zhai province. So they'll leave their AI palace as the garrison. They'll move their junks into that river section, which is the only one adjacent to Jin. And then the 2 infantry will move into the Zhai province. And then we're going to reveal that exploration token. And that's revealed to be nothing. Okay, nothing there. Once again, we draw a world event. This time we have Shenlong, and that has a chaos value of 3. So once again, the chaos marker is advanced 3 points. When that gets up to the fireball, then whichever world event is currently active will be activated, and each of the factions will launch bids to try to purchase that card and take its benefits. All right, next up is the Qi faction. They have a supply token, so we will make a roll and see if they are going to use a supply action. Roll is neutral, and they will not. We'll move on to Woo. All right, Woo has a supply token. Here is their roll. They rolled a neutral as well, so they will not be taking an action. We'll move back now to the Chin. All right, we have several action cubes left. We have a train action, research, and a supply action. And I think we're going to take our supply action. Now we've got a force from the Jin. They've moved into Zhai province, which is getting close to Liang, which is within a couple provinces of our capital. So I think we're probably going to have to move into Liang to form some type of a barrier there, and we could offer a treaty to Jin. That is a possibility. So we are going to declare a supply action. It'll definitely be in the capital. We'll begin by moving our junks, and we don't have any option but to place it in that river section there. Then we're going to move in our infantry into Liang, and that will become exhausted. And now we'll see what is there. And there's nothing there. Okay, so that is the situation. Next question is, do we offer the Jin a treaty? Right now we are outnumbered 2-1. If they were to move in there, we could have a problem. So I think we're probably best served to offer the Jin a treaty, and I think we'll do that. How this works with an AI player is we randomly select a treaty from our deck, and we randomly select one from, in this case, the Jin, and we exchange them to each other. And then these become binding. The treaty that we offered to the Jin is research treaty. Receive 1 knowledge from the supply during upkeep. If he breaks the treaty, that costs him 1 dishonor. And our card is, if I can pick it up, is a trust treaty. This treaty has no effect unless the treaty is betrayed. So that prevents either side from attacking each other. If we break the treaty, it's 3 dishonor tokens. All right. Following that supply action, we draw another world event, and it's Kingdoms Erupt. And that is going to have 2 chaos on the track. Chaos marker advances by 2. The Chu and the Jin factions have no supply tokens remaining, so we'll move back to Qi. He has one, and we'll see if he's going to use it at this time. He has a neutral. He's waiting. Okay. Now we have the Wu. They have a supply as well. And here's the Wu's roll. They rolled a double plus, so they're going to take their supply action. We'll move that to 0, and then we'll see what they're going to do. What does their AI card say? And the AI card is the Way of Strength. All right. All right, the Wu are going to be ready for a supply activation. Obviously, it will be the Wu province as the participant. Then we'll go through the list and find out which provinces will qualify for their move. At the beginning, we have enemies or barbarians. There are no adjacent enemies or barbarians. Grudge would be next on the list. There's no grudge nations. Then we go to unclaimed objectives. And with the objective cards that we have, there are none that relate to specific types of provinces. So then we'll go to the most settlements and mines. In that case, we've got 2 in Yue, 2 in Zhongli, and 1 in Zhu. So those would be the 2 possibilities then, Yue and Zhongli. So we'll make a die roll and find out where we're going. All right, we'll make a die roll to determine the target. Odd will be Yue, even will be Zhongli. It is an odd roll, so they're moving to Yue. So the junk will move first. And I think they're going to move into the, let's see, what would be the best? Probably into here would make the most sense. And then they're going to move in both of their infantry into UE. Those are exhausted. And now we'll find out what is in the UE province. And that is the Lotus Lantern. All right, well, let's find out what that's about. The Lotus Lantern reads, a mystical lantern that could ward off darkness and evil. Keep the token face down on your player board for future use. Discard the Lotus Lantern to cancel the effects of any world card that is played against you. All right, that's pretty powerful. And this time the world event is another dragon. It's Dailong. That has a chaos level of 3. Chaos advances 3. All right. All right, so far we've got 2 action cubes remaining, a train and a research. We have 1 treaty with the Jinn, which is going to give us some protection. And I guess we'll have to decide between the train and the research. I think we're going to use our train action. Now, we don't have an available barracks, but we do have an available academy, and that will get us a hero. So we'll place our cube on the academy, and that's going to allow us to train a hero. And we'll place our hero in the Qin province. The only AI team that still has a supply token is the Qi. So we'll make a roll and see if they're going to use it at this time. They rolled a neutral. They're waiting. Okay, so we will get to take our next action. The only action we have remaining on our player board is a research action. So we can gain research token, or we can spend that token and get some research going, a level 1 advancement. Now, we don't have an academy available, but we do have our palace, and that can act as any building. It doesn't link with any building, but it can act as a solitary building, and that's what we're going to do. We'll use the palace and perform the research action. It's going to earn us a research token, and we can either keep that or spend it. And I think we're going to spend it. So by spending that research token, we can develop any level 1 advancement that we choose. And I think we're going to develop iron weapons. Infantry in land combat, roll 2 infantry combat dice. We're kind of outnumbered right now, so I think that would probably be a good tactic for us. So the research token is discarded, and we've developed iron weapons. The only faction that has a supply cube remaining are the Qi, so they will take it now. And following that activation, that is going to bring the action phase to a close. So the Qi will draw their AI card. That one's revealed to be the Way of Equilibrium. So the Qi province will activate with a supply action. We'll begin with the top of the card. It's Grudge. There's no Grudge nations at this time. Next is Most Settlements and Mines. All right. We have the Cow province with 2. The Yan province with 2. And that is about it. That is it. So it's going to be between Cow and Yan. Next on the list is the fewest friendly units. That won't help to determine any more. And then enemies or barbarians. So we'll have to make a roll-off between Cow and Yan. And we'll do odd and even. We'll have Cow will be odd, Yan will be even. Result is a 5. That is odd. So Cow province is the target. We'll move their junks, and I think they'll probably move those into this river section, I would imagine. And then both of the infantry will move into the Cow province. And they are exhausted. And now we'll find out what is in the Cow province. And that is, it is a wise traveler. All right. Wise traveler reads, you meet a wise traveler who tells you of nearby lands. Immediately peek at any barbarian, kingdom, or exploration token on the board without revealing it to the other players. Then replace the token in its original location. Well, I think we're going to have to change this for the AI player. Obviously, we don't want to get information for us. So I'm going to place this Wise Traveler token on their player board. And then when they're contemplating which province to move to, we'll be able to examine one of the two to help us determine which province they will elect to go to. So I think that's how we'll handle this. The world event is revealed to be Barbarian Raid, and that will advance the chaos by 3. Chaos advances by 3. 1, 2, and 3, and we're getting close to the fireball. And that completes our action phase. We'll move on to the upkeep phase. All right, during the upkeep phase, the dragon's abilities would trigger. If there were any dragons on the board, their abilities would trigger at this time. Next, we go to player conquest, and we're going to place our conquest tokens in the provinces that are not contested. So the Wu will gain a control marker for Yue. The Chu will gain a control in Kuyi. We're going to gain a control marker for Liang. Jin will have one in Zhai province. And the Qi will gain one in Cao. All right. The next step, the barbarians would pillage if there were barbarians in an area. And then treaty cards will trigger. Well, we have a treaty card, but unfortunately it's a trust treaty. This treaty has no effect unless the treaty is betrayed. All right. The Jin have a research treaty with us, and that is going to allow them to receive a knowledge from the supply during upkeep. So the Jin will gain a knowledge token. Next, we get to retrieve our tokens and action cubes. Then our philosophy cards would be refreshed. We didn't use ours. And then we would refresh the philosophy market. So the bottom 2 cards are going to be placed into the discard. The existing 2 are going to slide down. And we'll draw 2 more fresh ones for the available philosophies. We've got Attune with the Way, Taoism, and Voice of the Dragon, Shamanism. Then we would do a victory check, and if there is no victory procedure, no one has completed 3 public objectives, we draw another public objective. This time we've got pacification. Destroy 2+ barbarian tokens in any way. All right, we'll add that to our queue. I keep that on the left side of the board for space issues. And finally, our player boards are refreshed. We recover all of our cubes and a supply token for each market that we have on the board. In this case, we have 1 market, we'll have 1 supply. All right, and that is the end of the first turn. And so we advance the turn marker to turn 2, and we'll begin a new turn. All right, we'll begin turn 2 with the most honorable phase. Each side is going to declare how many honor tokens they have, and the person with the most is going to be the first player. In this case, everyone has 1. So in that case, the existing first player can decide who the first player will be, and they're going to select themselves, obviously. So the Qi are going to be the first player. And we'll decide if it's going to be a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation. I flipped the first player token, and once again it became clockwise. So we'll begin with the Qi, and this is going to be round 1 of turn 2. We'll begin with Qi's production phase. All right, Chi's production phase, we will draw the top card of the AI deck and consult turns 2 and 3 for production. It says they're going to gain +3 honor, +1 advancement, 1 supply, and then 1 unit starting with archers. All right. So we'll give them 3 honor. That's going to move them up to 4. They're also going to gain an advancement and a supply. All right. Then we consult the card and we look there. It says +1 unit. Starting at the top of the list is an archer. So as long as there are archers left in the supply, that's the unit that they're going to produce. If there were no archers left in the supply, we would move down to the next: infantry, cavalry, junk, etc. All right. So the Chi have elected to produce an archer that gets placed in their provincial capital. And that'll complete their production phase. We'll move on to the Wu. The Wu are up next, and we'll draw a card for them. And this time they're going to gain 1 honor, 1 knowledge, 1 advancement, 1 supply, and 2 units. So we would fulfill the archer first and then the cavalry next. All right. So they'll be gaining an honor token. That's their second. They'll get a knowledge token and an advancement, 1 supply, and then they're going to gain an archer and then a cavalry. All right. So in the Wu provincial capital, they build a cavalry and an archer, and that'll complete their production. Now it's our turn. We'll move on to the Qin. In our case, we have all of our action cubes available. Now we've built iron weapons. That gives us an advantage with infantry units. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use our train action and we're going to build an infantry unit. And that will help us to defend our capital and to have some forces to be able to explore in adjacent regions. So we'll take our training cube, place that in the barracks, and that will allow us to build 1 type of unit of any style. And we're going to produce an infantry since we have those iron weapons. I think what we'll do in a future turn or future round, we have a hero and an infantry. And I think probably our best bet would be to move them into the Jun province. It has 2 settlements. One of them is a mine though. And that probably would be superior. We don't want the Jin to be moving into our region. So that'll kind of form a block there a little bit. So that's going to complete our train action. We'll move on now to the Chu. And we'll draw an AI card for the Chu. This time they're going to get 1 honor, 1 advancement, 1 supply, 1 fortification, and 2 units, beginning with cavalry and infantry. All right. So we'll give them their second honor token. They will have an advancement and a supply. And they're also going to gain a fortification and a cavalry and infantry. Now for fortifications, the AI reads, if the protector public objective is in play, first place fortifications under construction on empty invasion paths leading to areas owned by the AI player. Break ties randomly. If all invasion routes are filled or the protector is not in play, place fortifications under construction on the AI player's area with the most settlements that does not have a fortification, and then break ties randomly. So in this case, the protector public objective is not in play. So the fortification is going to be built under construction in the Chu provincial capital. We'll place that under construction. And then he's also going to gain, as a part of his card, a cavalry and an infantry. And those will be placed in the Chu provincial capital. That will complete his production phase. Next up is the Jin. And their card says +1 to honor, +1 commerce, +1 advancement, 1 supply, +1 hero, and then in this case a cavalry unit. All right, so they're going to gain an honor token. That'll be their second. They'll also gain a commerce token, one advancement, and one supply. And then a hero, and then in this case, a cavalry. So in the Jin provincial capital, they have a leader, a hero, and a cavalry formation. All right, that completes their production. And incidentally, I have to give a shout out to the game's designer. This is such a good AI system with these AI cards and how they work with the two portions of the cards. One to direct how the units are moved and the other for production. And it's really very elegant system. It makes you feel like you're playing against 4 human opponents. And I can rarely say that for most other board games that attempt to do AI. This is a very elegant system. All right, next up is the Chi, and we're going to see if they are going to be using a supply action. They have one supply cube. And here's the roll. And they have a neutral, so they are going to wait. And we'll move on to the Wu. All right, the Wu have a supply, and they're going to see if they will take a supply action. They've rolled a minus, so they're going to wait as well. And now it's going to move to us again, the Chin. Well, we have an honor, research, build, and supply action available to us. And I think we need to use our supply action. I don't want the Jin moving into June province, so I'd like to secure that before they would have the opportunity to move in. So I'm going to take our supply action right now. And we'll use that to supply the Qin provincial capital. So that'll allow us to move that junk and the hero and the infantry. So I think we will move them into June. The junk, I think I'm probably better served to put that. I'm going to think about that, where to move that to. Well, I think we're going to move that here. Yeah. And then we're going to move in our hero and an infantry into June province. And we'll see what's there. So we'll flip over that exploration token. And this one is nothing. There's nothing there. All right. So I think we're in pretty good shape. We've got a block now at least. We would force the Jin to violate the treaty if they wish to attack us. So that would be good. All right, next up is the Chu. They have a supply token. We'll see if they're going to use it now. And they've rolled a minus, so they're going to wait. And we'll move on now to the Jin. The Jin have a supply action, and they also have a research treaty with us. All right, here is the roll for supply. And they've rolled a neutral, so they're going to wait. Okay, we're back to the Qi, and we'll see if they're going to use their supply. And they rolled a neutral, so they're going to wait. Now the Wu are up. And they have a supply token. Here's their roll. And they've rolled a plus, so they're going to take their supply action. All right, we'll see what they're going to do. So we determine which province the Wu have the most movement eligible units. And in this case, it would be the provincial capital, because they can leave that palace where it is. That would serve as the garrison, and they'll be able to move 2 units. The junk will not be able to move because it has to be able to leave a unit behind when it moves. The same with the Yue province. One of the infantry would have to be left behind and the other one could move. So there's more units in the Wu provincial province, and now they are going to determine their target is. And they've drawn the card, the Way of the Sea. And they'll begin with unclaimed objectives. Well, none of the objectives are going to help us in determining the target. So we'll move down to fewest friendly units. And that criteria would eliminate all of the adjacent provinces with the exception of the UA province. That's the only one that we have units in. So it looks like that's going to be the target. If we went down the list, grudge and most settlements and mines, that won't further refine that for us. So our target is going to be UA. They're going to build up a larger force there, evidently. So the junks have to remain because there's only one there. The palace will serve as the garrison, and then both of these units will move into the UA province. And that's going to complete Wu's supply action. And since the Wu did a supply action, we have to draw a world event card, and that is the Qilong, another dragon. That's going to advance us 3 points on the track. And it's going to place us to within 1 of the fireball. And when that happens, we will do a bid for the current world event. And now the Qin faction is up next, and that's us. We have a honor, research, and a build action available to us. Oh, incidentally, these forces should have been exhausted. They moved. All right. I think we're going to begin with a research action, so we're going to utilize our academy. And we're going to gain a research token, and I think we're going to spend that for an advancement. And I think we're going to select the mining advancement in construction. It says may place buildings on mines in mountain areas. And that will work very well with the Jun province, which has a mine available. So in future turns, we can take advantage of that mine that we are going to be controlling in the Jun province. All right, next are the Chu. They have a supply token available, so we'll see if they're going to use it. And they have a neutral, so they're going to wait. Next up is the Jin. And they have a positive roll, so they're going to use their supply token. So we've drawn an AI card for the Jin, and that is the Way of the Dog. And we'll determine what their largest concentration will be. And it looks like it's going to be the Jin provincial capital. They have a hero and a cavalry. Both of those can move, whereas only one in the Zhai province could move, having to leave behind one. So it'll be the Jin province, and there's no grudge yet. And then we're looking for most settlements and mines to determine the next move. And let's see what they're adjacent to. There's 2 there, 1 there, and there's 2 there. So looks like it's going to be the Wei and the Dai provinces are currently active. Then it's enemies or barbarians. None of that will help. And then unclaimed objectives. None of that will help. So we'll have to do a roll-off between Wei and Dai. And we'll make it odd for Wei and even for Dai. The result is even, so they're going to move their forces into the Dai province. All right, the junks will not be able to activate, so this force will move into the Dai province. It's a hero and a cavalry, and we'll see what's there. And that is an ancient scroll. All right, let's read about that. And that reads, you find an old shrine that contains an ancient scroll of great wisdom. Immediately gain 1 knowledge token. All right, we'll give them a knowledge token. And that's the Jin's second knowledge token. So the hero is going to be exhausted, but not the cavalry. They have a supply level of 2, so we can move them 1 more time. And now, since a movement occurred, we'll draw our next world event, and this one is Barbarian Raid, and that has a chaos level of 3. So, chaos marker has reached the fireball, and when that happens, we move the token to the normal starting area for the number of players, and we continue the number of chaos points that are left to be resolved. So we had 1 there, 2, and 3. And now the Barbarian Raid world event is active. So now the human and AI players are going to bid honor tokens to acquire that card. That says Barbarian Raid. Select a barbarian tribe to raid China. Okay, that's a pretty valuable card. Now we only have one honor token, so if I choose to bid that, we're only going to be bidding one. And we'll see how the AI is going to handle these bids. That says after all human bids are revealed, we're going to roll a yellow die for each AI player, and on a roll of 2 pluses, the AI player will bid all of their honor. On 1 plus, they'll bid half, rounded up. On a negative, they'll bid half their honor, rounded down. On a blank, they will bid 0. So I'm going to make those rolls off camera, and we'll find out what the bidding is. I guess for the sake of just being involved in it, I'm going to bid 1 honor. And here's the results of the bids. I bid 1. Chu bid 1. Jin bid 2. Wu bid 1. And Chi bid 2. So we have a tie. In that case, when there's a tie, the player that has the most honor decides on the tiebreaker. And in this case, Chi has the most. So Chi is going to be winning the duel. I'm sorry, the bid. So the Chi player is going to implement that Barbarian Raid. It says the AI player will always target themselves positively and their grudge negatively. If they have no grudge, they will randomly target another player. So what we're going to do then is we're going to roll a d6. There are 5 barbarian locations, and we'll number them in clockwise order, starting at the top of the board and moving clockwise around. And I'll make a d6 roll, and on a result of 6, we'll just re-roll. And wouldn't you know it, the result is a 5, so that is going to activate this barbarian. We're going to roll a die, and that will tell us which province the barbarians are going to move into. Not good. So we'll make the die roll and see what happens. The result is a 4, and the barbarians are moving into the Zhai province, thank God. All right, so that's where they are. The rulebook reads, certain world events will cause barbarians to invade China. The player that wins a barbarian raid world event selects a barbarian tribe and rolls a die. Move the barbarian token into the area following the invasion path of the arrow indicated by the roll. Then draw a random barbarian token from the barbarian's pool and place it on the newly vacated barbarian tribe space. Barbarians do not move beyond the first area they enter. Barbarians invading an area already containing barbarians are simply added to the top of that stack. Keep barbarian counters face down unless combat occurs. All right. So we'll place a fresh barbarian unit in that sector. And as we continue reading, it says, whenever barbarians enter an area containing units belonging to a player, or a player moves units into an area containing barbarians, barbarian combat occurs. If an area has both barbarians and kingdom tokens, players fight the barbarians first. All right. So there's going to be combat in the Jia province. We'll reveal the barbarian token. All right. All right, friends, I'm coming back in post-production. I goofed up this barbarian combat that we had here with the 2 infantry from the Jin versus the barbarians. We'll take a look at the barbarian token first. On the left-hand side is in a blood drop. That is the barbarian's attack strength. And the shield is its defense strength. The Jin, or the human player, or the AI player are going to make their normal attack roll. Barbarians do not roll. They have their numbers fixed. So in this case, the Jin have 2 infantry. That entitles them to 1 green die. We're going to roll the die and then compare our attack strength to those numbers. Now, if our attack strength can exceed the barbarians' attack strength, we won't take any losses. If it's equal to or less than, we're going to have to take a casualty. If our attack strength is equal to or greater than their defense strength, the barbarians will be eliminated. So we'll make the attack. All right, the Jinn have rolled a 5. We compare that with the barbarian attack strength. That roll is not greater than that number, so we're going to have to take a casualty, so 1 infantry will be destroyed. However, our value is equal to or greater than their defense strength, so the barbarians are destroyed and the Jinn are victorious. So in this case, the Jinn player will keep the barbarian token on his display that proves that he defeated a barbarian. And there are some objectives that say that we need to defeat a certain number of barbarians. One of them is the pacification one. It says destroy 2+ barbarian tokens in any way. So the Jinn have achieved one of the 2 they need to pass that public objective. So when this video proceeds, you're going to see a Jinn infantry in the Jinn provincial capital. In that original battle, I retreated them. Number 1, AI players do not retreat. Number 2, I just didn't handle the barbarian attack correctly. So this is the correct way to do it. The other thing you might see is in the video, I believe the Jinn took a dishonor token because I had them retreat, and that did not happen. So I'm going to remove that token from their display, and everything should be good. But as you might be seeing in the corners of some of the video, there will be a Jinn token in Jinn, and the barbarian token will remain in Jia province. Also, they are not going to lose control of the Jia province now, as it will happen later in the video. I'll make sure I put a text in there to alert you to that. Sorry for any inconvenience. Next up is the Qi faction, and they have a supply token. We'll see if they are going to use it at this time. They rolled a -. They're going to wait. Moving on to the Wu, they've already used their supplies, so it'll be our turn again, the Qin. Well, we have an honor and a build cube available. Now, we do have 1 settlement available in Liang province, so we could build there. And I think we are going to do that. And I think we're going to build a barracks. And actually, after further consideration, since those barbarians are right across the border, I think we might be better off building a fortification. And I've decided to countermand my order for the construction of a fortification. We're going to build a market. And the reason I'm selecting the market is it's going to give us an extra supply for the next turn. For every market that we have, we get a supply, and that'll give us some more movements. So I think that might be in a better choice for us. This game just gives you so many different ways to approach it. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the decision making. All right, so we've completed our build action in Liang. We'll move on now to the Chu. They still have a supply token. And we'll see if they're going to use their supply token. They rolled a +, so they are going to use their supply token. And we'll see what they're going to do. All right, the Chu have drawn the AI card, the Way of the Monkey. And we'll have to determine who has the largest concentration of movable forces. And once again, that's going to be in the provincial capital of Chu. So, we'll move down our list. The fewest friendly units. Well, the fewest friendly is going to be in the Kui province. And that's the only one that has forces, so that's where they're going. The most settlements and mines, enemies or barbarians, or unclaimed objectives. None of those will change that. We only have the 1, so these forces are going to move into the Kui province. Cavalry is not exhausted at this point. And since we took a supply action, we draw a world event, and it's Earthquake. And that has a chaos level of 2. So chaos will advance by 2. And the only AI player with supply is the Chi. So we will make a roll and see if they're going to take it at this time. And they are. They've got 2 pluses. So they're going to use their supply. So we have to determine the largest movable province. Cow province would be 1. The Chi province would be 1. So it's going to be either of those 2. We'll have to make a roll off to find out who is going to move. So we'll make it odd for Chi and even for cow. It is odd. So the Chi province is going to be the supplied province. All right. The junks will have to remain where they are. There's only 1 there, so it can't move. But the archer can move. So we will now draw a card and find out the target. The card's revealed to be the Way of the Rooster. And the target location will be the fewest friendly units. So that is going to be the cow province. They're concentrating their forces. So the archer is going to move into the cow province, and that is exhausted. All right. And the next world event is Zhang He, and that has a chaos of 3. So chaos will advance by 3. All right. And the Qin are the only ones within action. All of the AI players have used their supplies. All we have left is an honor action. So we'll use our honor cube, and we're going to place that on our shrine. And that's going to earn us an honor token. That'll be our second. So we've got 2 honor tokens now. And we're out of actions. That will complete the action phase. We'll go to upkeep. So during the upkeep phase, dragon abilities would trigger if there were any out. Now we'll take care of player conquests. So we have conquered the Jun province. We take control of that. The only other one is the Zhai province. We've got barbarians in their midst, and the Jin are going to lose control of the Zhai province to the barbarians. Then the barbarians will pillage. If the Zhai province had any buildings under construction or any existing buildings, one of them would be destroyed. Now we'll go to our treaty card triggers. The Jin have a research treaty with us, and that's going to earn them a knowledge token. And that is going to be their 3rd, I believe. Yes. So they've got 3 knowledge tokens. Our treaty is simply a trust treaty. We don't gain anything from that. Next, we retrieve our tokens and action cubes. And we also flip over any of our exhausted forces on the board. Then we would refresh our philosophy cards, and then we will refresh the philosophy market. Philosophy market, lower 2 cards will be put to the discard, and the other 2 will slide down, and 2 new ones will come out. And those are Feng Shui, Taoism, and Oracle Bones, Shang. Then we would do our victory check. Well, there are only 2 public objectives active at the time, so we don't have to check for victory. We will display a new public objective, and this time it is sea power. Occupy 4 plus sea spaces. All right, we'll add that into the queue. And then we will replenish our player boards. We'll have our honor cube, research, train, a build, and we have 2 markets now. So our supply now is up to 2, which is great. We've developed iron weapons, giving our infantry an extra die in combat, and we have mining. We can start building on mines in mountain areas. That's great. And that's going to complete the turn. So we will advance our turn marker to turn 3. Our turn marker advances to turn 3, and we're ready for the next turn. And I think we are going to conclude this video at this time. I'm going to return for episode 2, where we will continue on with turn 3, and we'll see how we can do in this game of Spring and Autumn, the story of China. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Solo Gamers Club. I hope you're enjoying this playthrough of this excellent game. I'm having a blast presenting this to you. I love this game, and I can't wait for them. I decided to order the models. I can't wait till those come, and I think what I'm going to do is something I haven't done on the channel is when I get those models, I'm going to unbox those and we'll show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to try to do, to the best of my ability, a painting video. And I'll just at least show you how I approach this, and maybe it would give some help to those that are considering painting models. And I'll just show you how I approach the situation. So thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again in our next video. In the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club, signing off and wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.